So we've invited Chris. Chris, are you the founder of Direction for Men?
I am, yeah, founder, yeah.
And in a nutshell, you do like football groups which are designed, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but whatever. They're there to help people with with men's mental health, with mental health.
Yeah, I mean, amongst other things, yeah. So the football sessions are designed to be a different type of football, I suppose, where your mates aren't going to get on your back if you misplace a pass. It's supportive, it's encouraging. We try to help each other out, and I try and have a laugh, and I suppose give guys an hour away from whatever crap they might be going through in their lives on a day-to-day basis.
So why did you start it rather than just another football thing?
Well, directions to men or the football in particular?
I guess more the directions for men, because to be honest, we get approached by football people quite a lot, and
Yeah.
it seems to be picking up. I'd say the last 18 months, 2 years, it seems to be picking up non-stop. They're like our number one sports. I think Ian,
Yeah.
you've seen a few messages like that as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple ongoing at the minute, haven't we? Like people that want to sponsor use our name for sponsoring football matches and kind of charity football. I think it's great, isn't it?
No, it is really good actually. And if you Google anything to do with football, it's the sport where you least expect it.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
which is like the gyms and whatever else you kind of expect in there, but the football stuff. But you seem to have done it the other way around. And as far as I know, I haven't looked that much, I'll be honest with you. You're the first ones what have actually gone straight in with the mental health and then football second.
Yeah, so I mean, the talking and the getting men talking has always been something that's really important to me. So there's a few reasons why I set the organisation up. I always say there's a couple of personal and there's a professional as well. So professionally, for 20 odd years, I've worked in the criminal justice system and drug and alcohol services with the people suffering from addictions. Quite often that's men that you're seeing. 75%, 8% of the time you're seeing men. And quite often, the thing that links all of those men that you see is either experiences of trauma, poor mental health, or they've just never figured out how to solve problems effectively without turning to drink, drugs, aggression, violence, and those kind of things. So, professionally, there's always been something that I think we need to do something a bit different for men to try and help them avoid some of those pitfalls and avoid them find themselves in front of a judge or in front of a drug and alcohol worker. So that's the kind of professional reason why I wanted to help directions to men. Personally, yeah, I've experienced my own mental health problems. I've got anxiety and depression. Still struggle with it. I don't pretend that I've setting up directions to them because I've overcome all these problems and now living a healthy, rosy, happy life. I still experience them, still have trouble with them. And I wanted to try and share that with other men and see if we could help each other through those tough times. And then the third reason is I always say is the most important reason, and that was the loss of a loved one to suicide. Back in 2019, I lost a family member, my cousin, John Paul. He was the same age as me. He was a man that I lived with when I was a child for quite a long time because my mum had problems with alcoholism and mental health problems. And I was massively racked with guilt that, his family were there for me when I was a kid and I needed them. And I felt like when he needed me, maybe I wasn't around. And now the truth is that if I'd have known what he was going through, I'd have been there and I'd have sat with him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Um, but one of the unfortunate things with suicide is quite often you don't see it coming. So that's how we set up
And
directions to men.
good on you. And I think that's a valid point, isn't it? And I think that's what frustrates me about the whole suicide topic is literally 99% of the time is no one ever saw it coming. And I
Yeah,
have these conversations, but probably the same as you do. I have these conversations on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. I really do, and I
yeah.
do think it's because we're probably looking out for the wrong signs.
Or maybe sometimes we're just scared to ask. Maybe we see some of the signs and we go, "Oh God, I don't know how to approach this conversation, or I don't know what to say about this," and we just avoid the conversation. I knew John Paul had troubles. I knew he was going through tough times.
Yeah,
Um, but even then, me with my experience and feeling like I helped all these strangers, I didn't feel confident enough to have that conversation with him and go, "You
yeah.
okay, mate?" And that's
What do you
yeah,
think would change that then? Because that's quite common. We hear that a lot, don't we? It's that first conversation, and actually, there's a couple of conversations we've had where it's been first of all the person who's got the issues needs to be in a position to download that, and secondly, the person who's having that conversation needs to be receptive to be able to take burden's the wrong word, but almost to kind of digest that conversation.
Uh, Have you ever seen that kind of Facebook status? My door's always open and there's always a brew going. You know, and for most of those people that post that is nothing further from the truth.
Oh, I'm so glad you
Does-
said that because I was holding that in. I was holding that in, thinking, "Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going?" And I hate that. I hate that kind
the
of.
last thing that they want someone to do is to knock on the door and go, "I'm really struggling, making you help me."
Yeah,
And I think we've got to let people know that actually, you know, it's such an important thing to be able to go, "Are you okay, mate? Are you all right? Do you need
yeah,
a chat? Do you need to go for a brew?" And just allow that person the space to feel safe and feel like they can talk to you about whatever it is that they're struggling with, what they're fighting with. So we just need to encourage more and more people to go have that conversation. If you're worried, ask. Nothing
yeah.
bad's going to happen. You're not going to do anything wrong, and you're not. You know, if something does go wrong, it's not going to be because you asked the question. In fact, it's much more likely to go wrong if you don't. So I think it's just about encouraging people to have the conversations and be brave and ask the question: "Are you okay? Do you need a chat?" And that's it. It's a little bit wet, that, isn't it? I know. I've not got like a kind of a silver bullet, but it is just raising awareness. The more men we get talking, the more we share in podcasts like this, the more we encourage people to ask that question. You okay? Hopefully, the more people feel confident to have that conversation. Actually, ask.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I've said this in school. I think what drove me more with Man Up is I've been in quite a few schools. I'm hoping to have a few more lined up well, they've seemed to stop striking now. They've got it out their system now. There's been a solution, but anyway, I remember it's like 2,000 kids I've seen with my own eyes, and I'd ask them 3 questions. Would you speak to someone at school basically to teach you about your mental health, and a few little hands and secret fingers go up, but in that setting you kind of expect everyone wants to be the cool kid. Then I'll say, will you speak to your mate? And that's about 50% depending on the schools. Then the third question is, would you speak to somebody at home, basically a family member, about just life problems, not mental health, just life problems? To this day, 2 hands have gone up.
Wow.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, so now I'm just like, the more men we can encourage, let's presume most of them have got kids. Let's get this generation of blokes talking, so it educates the kids that everything's going to be all right. Because if we don't do that, all this conversation is just going to be training, I use that term loosely, educating this generation, and then it's going to be forgotten. Because if they're not going home and talking about it, and it doesn't have to be about mental health. It doesn't. I very rarely talk about depression or anything like that at home. I'll just say, Ian's doing mid in today. Just
Thanks,
no,
mate.
absolutely. Do you get me? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be full blown mental health conversations. Just
No,
sometimes life's a bit shit at the minute. Do you want to go
you
for
don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to be saying to people, how do you feel emotionally? What kind of emotions have you got going on? It's not about that, is it? It's about, you okay? What's going on for you at the moment? How was school today? What did you get? What happened? It's just what was the situation? And the people telling you the situation will generally just automatically lead to them telling you how the situation made them feel or how they're feeling as a result of that situation. It's just checking in with people's day, isn't it? And having general conversations.
yeah.
And you're right. The more we encourage men of this generation that it's okay to have that conversation, hopefully they encourage the men in the generation below them, and it grows exponentially, generation by generation. It's not it's not an overnight thing. This is it. This
Exactly.
is a lot of time.
Yeah, well, I was in a talk a few weeks ago. It's probably months ago now. Everything's just blurring into one. I did a talk somewhere, and I was just like, my goal is to shut down Man Up. And this like scientist person goes, well, if you keep going the way you're going, it will take 300 years. Not
Yeah,
brilliant,
Wow.
absolutely brilliant. And that's kind of the scary thing, isn't it? So let's just try and speed it up the best we can. So
yeah. But it takes as long as it takes, doesn't it? At least we're having the conversations now. At least we're trying. We're trying to encourage these conversations, encourage more men to open up.
exactly.
And the quicker we can do it, the better. But it takes as long as it takes.
And no, exactly. Just keep plodding along, change one mind at a time, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So if anyone's like looking to do football, like how would, because you do classes or groups.
Yeah.
Is it 6 locations?
Yeah, so we're across Greater Manchester and Cheshire,
Yep.
and it's dead easy. Go on our website, send us a little message. get in touch with us on any of our social media. Social media is always the best. It's where we're most active. It's where we find it the best way that we reach out to men, because I don't know about you guys, but I think the thing that we find hardest is getting reach and kind of throwing the net out there and capturing as many men as possible. That's what I find is the most challenging thing that we do. So get us on social media, send us a message, or if you just see a session, just come down and give it a go. You'll find that you have good fun, hopefully, and enjoy yourself. And that's what it's about. It's about, we won't solve anyone's mental health problems playing football, but we give you an hour's break from it where you can have a laugh and hopefully enjoy yourself. That's the most important bit.
Well, I think that's the key, and women need to be with women. Men need to sometimes be with men as well. Even if it's just to put the world to rights and forget about normal life for half an hour or even an hour. And I refuse to believe that I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, that's all. You're absolutely right. I mean, maybe that's part of the problem, is those kind of spaces and those times where men did just chew the fat has kind of eroded a little bit and maybe eroded too far. It might not have been the best environment anyway, going down the pub and having a skinful, but that was primarily where it happened. But part of what I'm thinking is we just need to create more spaces where men can be with men, just socially. Like you say, putting the wheels to rights, having a laugh, chewing the fat. Because that kind of conversation can make someone's day, can't it? We get men who come to our sessions, it's the highlight of their week.
Well, there you go. So I'm just intrigued then, because obviously I've looked at your website and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, you do mention mental health and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to be I'm one of those people. I'm not a footballer, so to me, if it hasn't got an engine or gloves, it's not a sport. Just my personal opinion, but each to their own. So each to their own on that. But if I saw something like that before MANUP, because of the lingo about mental health, I'll be like, sod that. I'm sitting around with bloody tissues and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just saying how I used to be. Is I couldn't be dealing with that, a load of soppy blokes and all this kind of stuff. But after speaking to you and obviously Pauline and doing my research, it doesn't seem like that at all.
No,
Have I made sense?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of men think that we all sit around in a circle holding hands and crying, or singing a song together or something. But one of the amazing things.
Obviously, if people want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
I'm just for me, I'm like, nah, I'm all right.
Yeah, do you know what? One thing that always surprises me with our sessions is how much laughter you hear.
Oh, okay.
And how much actually it's fellas. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk necessarily about feelings. We talk about what's going on for you, what's happening, how are you, and men will naturally just veer towards what has happened rather than how they're feeling about it. So we tend to talk about what men are going through, what men are experiencing, and what you tend to find in our sessions is at least one other man in that room that knows what you're going through because he's been there himself. And they just build relationships and rapport over those shared experiences. And that's mainly what we do, but there's friendships that develop out of it. There's laughter because the lads can sometimes find a little bit of dark humour in situations that they're experiencing. And the most powerful thing that comes out of it, I think, is just men knowing that they're not on their own anymore. And I'm a little bit unashamed that I don't mind that that's what we do. I don't mind that that's what we say. I don't mind that there's fellas that go, bollocks to that's not for me. That's fine. That's all right. Because we won't be for every man, and every man won't be right for directions of men.
Yeah.
What I'd love to see is that there's a whole variety of different things for different men to go to. We started football just because some men in our group said, I'd love to play football again. I've not played for years. We started a bowls. We've got lads who play bowls every week because we had lads in the group that said that were really interested. We had one guy who played.
Is that
it
the one on the green with the old people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got and the youngest lad that plays bowls is 19.
So yeah, I love that. Here's me going on some old ways to get an old person sport, and you get 19-year-olds doing it. I absolutely love all that kind of stuff. But
we've had lads go fishing. We've had lads playing golf. We've had lads metal detecting. I think they thought they were going to find like a Viking hoard or Roman coins, but I think they found a belt buckle and a 2p piece. But
okay, so someone that obviously clearly been watching the detectorists or whatever it's called.
Yeah, detectorists or something like that.
Yeah, that was it. We did. Me and the wife watched that for some weird reason. It's actually quite fun. But anyway,
So the basic answer is that direction to men, the foundation of what we do is talking, but actually we'll try any activity that a fellow wants to participate in, and we'll give everything a go.
Yeah.
Because the most important bit for me is the relationship, the social side, the friendship, becoming mates with someone. That's, it's a lot of the men that come out are lonely and don't really know how to make mates anymore. One of them says, 44 years old, where the bleed now do I go to make friends?
And do you know what? And that's something. This is something I'm starting to preach on a little bit more. I'm seeing more and more blokes not having a sense of purpose. And
Yeah.
I did a video with Susie Bennett. She's done a PhD on male suicide and all this stuff. And that she basically tore apart 20 years worth of data. But her findings are causing some of the NHS to rewrite what they talk about with mental health. Absolutely bang on. And actually, a lot of like horrible decisions aren't a bloke with the crazy sobbing and all this kind of lost control. They're actually logical decisions. They're logical decisions because they've got no sense of purpose. And if you read it on a piece of paper, their story, you go, yeah, I kind of get it. I kind of get what I've done it. So in their head at that period of time, it's a very, very logical decision. It's an illogical decision. Absolutely. But you kind of get it. So absolutely, I think I'm adamant that blokes should be, and even women, I guess. I can't speak for women because I'm not one, but I think blokes need a sense of purpose. And do you know what? If that's playing with a calculator, I won't look at Ian. If that's playing with a calculator or doing football, or do you know what? Joining an old lady's being massive judgy, but joining old ladies or old blokes playing bowling or bowls or whatever it is, do you know what? Just because I think it's crazy, if it works for them, good on them. They've got some sort of sense of purpose. I'm going to end my preach because I can feel myself building up. So I apologise.
No, it's all right.
But I think like what you've said, Chris, it's those fine margins, isn't it? Like to going from making those really difficult logical decisions, as you kind of put it there, Dan, which we all know about. It's those little bits of intervention that make a little bit of a difference. Like you said, having that belonging, having a kick around, going fishing, that having a game of golf, and it's. I mean, I'm gonna put a badge on it, but that's life-saving stuff. And I think it's that simple stuff that makes the massive difference. Certainly the time I've been with MANUP, and that's what I found is great to see that other men are kind of sharing this approach and how they're tackling this thing.
Do you know, it's funny on me and mate, we went Lake District, went camping for like 3 or 4 nights. Stupid idea, absolutely freezing, soaked and all sorts. But anyway, we nearly missed our last train, so we ended up it's from Lake District to Suffolk is like a 5-hour train trip to London, then back from London all the way up here. So pain in the arse. And we missed our last train. Or we were just about to miss his last train, and my mate was like, "Oh, it's here." So I turned over, jumped onto this train, and then 5 minutes into it, it's like you're 10 minutes away from Manchester. And I looked at my mate, and I was like, "You've got us on the wrong train." So we're basically like bickering. I'm just all I want to do, and my homing, maybe it's because of the BPD. Once I've got my homing instincts, I am going home. I remember I rode a motorbike through 5 countries once, non-stop, because I wanted to go home.
Wow.
So it's just a weird. I'm just broke. But anyway, I digress. So me and my mate, we're stressed out. We're cold and all this kind of stuff, and we're bickering. And I'm having to go. I'm like, "Why didn't you look at the sign?" It was like, "Well, why didn't you?" And it's one of those things that we're getting more and more stressed out, more and more anxious because all we want to do is get back to London to catch this last train. And this woman next to us with her kids, she just comes over. She was like, Would you both like a Kit Kat?" And I remember just I think there is something about this, what I'm trying to say, and I don't know what it is, but her just saying nothing else, like, "Do you both want a Kit Kat?" It just for just a split second broke our mentality, broke the mentality. Am I making sense?
Yeah. It's like the smallest little thing.
Exactly.
But it made a massive difference in terms of where you are at that spot, and probably completely changed your perception about the situation that you were in.
It did. Yeah, absolutely. That was the best Kit Kat I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. And it's like Ian says, it's the simplicity of it, isn't it? That for me, what Direction to Men does, what MANUP does, what we're all trying to do around the conversation is it's about keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Because the simplicity is the best part of it. It's not hard for men to access. We're not forcing men to have conversations. We're not forcing people to do anything that they don't want to do. Men don't even have to talk in our sessions if they don't want to. They can just sit and listen. And it's that simplicity which can really make a difference, because I think it doesn't feel threatening, doesn't feel hard. And I think that's what we're trying to kind of keep hold of at all costs, I think.
Yeah. So is that a paid thing? I presume they pay like a little sub or anything like that, do they? Or
yeah, for the 40, they pay £3 each.
okay.
If they can't afford it, if they're struggling, if they, we've got menu kind of on benefits and things like that, and £3 is quite a lot for them. We have a little bit of part where we say, don't worry about it. We'll match you, and we'll just get involved and have a game and enjoy yourself.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well done to you. And even £3 is cheaper than therapy these days, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
So, but I think you. So, just before Jules closes, so what's the main reason blokes come to you then? Is there like a pattern?
I wouldn't say that there is. There's a variety of things. There's work problems, relationship problems, money problems. But I think a lot of it, it's loneliness, isolation, lack of purpose, not knowing what they want to do with their lives, find themselves in a general slump and not really knowing why or what's going on for them.
Yeah.
So there's a whole variety of reasons, really. But the one that always sticks in my mind is this kind of wanting to find mates, wanting to belong to something, wanting to feel part of something. And I think that's mainly why. Whether that's what they came for in the first place or not, that's mainly what men get out of it.
Right. Okay. No, that's all good. And do they send themselves, or is it the missus saying, yeah? Because I know my missus was like, "You're going mental. Get out of the house. Go and join that."
Yeah, it's. I would imagine it's about half and half.
That's
I
it.
think 50% of men come because they need to or they want to, and definitely 50% of the men come because the wife has said, you need to go here, or I'm packing your bags and you can bugger off.
Okay, that's actually less than I thought. If I'm honest with you,
right.
So
Right.
yeah,
I might be underplaying that, but certainly when we've checked, when we've asked the guys, it's certainly looked at about 50-50 for us.
right. Okay, that's still quite interesting, though, isn't it? Really, and that's a sad thing. Sad thing? I don't know if that's the right thing. I guess it is. When we speak to the female of the relationship, normally most of those relationships, it's like the women are just like, you need to, like, I'm done, you need to sort your shit out. And it's really interesting. Either Instagram, funny enough, is the worst one for it, or best one is you'll see like the woman tag the fella on a certain video. And I see that a lot, and I find that incredibly interesting. And it's sad, because that normally is the case where your relationship is going to be a bit of sort your shit out. I'm being quite harsh. I don't mean to be harsh, but it's just.
No, I think you're right. You kind of automatically start thinking about what that family's going through, don't you? What the woman's going through, what the kids might be going through, what the members of the family might be experiencing. If the guy's struggling that much, that his wife's going, you need to do something, because I can't take it anymore. Or and there's always one bit of feedback that we got after one of our sessions. Once it's just a wife sent us an email saying, I don't know what he spoke about. I don't even want to know what he spoke about. But I just want to let you know that when he got back tonight, I felt like I had my husband back. And I almost burst into tears. It was like the nicest bit of feedback that we've ever had. It still sticks with me now, kind of 3 years later.
Exactly. No, so well done to you, really. Just before George, I'm just conscious of the time. You got any input there, mate?
Just to keep up the great work. I think everything that you said just rings true and kind of stands by what we stand for as well. And I think it's making a big difference to a lot of guys. And best of luck with it. And we're right behind you and standing with you as well. I think it's phenomenal. I think that last bit of feedback is exactly the difference that you make. And there's other people that'll be getting that feedback as well, and other partners that are having those thoughts but maybe haven't verbalized it. So it's making a massive difference. So on behalf of MANUP, thanks, and carry on what you're doing, Chris.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
I'll do all the taggy stuff and all this kind of stuff. But let me hear that record button. Bear me 1 second. Oh, no, don't do it. Oh, sorry.